What's good, everybody? What's going on, man? It's Stephen Qualls II, aka Mr. Qualified. It's your boy. And we're back with another episode of the Wright Quality Podcast. Friends, host, y'all know the order, y'all know how we do this. Please introduce yourself to the people.
Ashley Wright the first. It is Valentine's Day week. Spreading love.
Yeah.
Speaking of, um, just missed a phone call from that one person. It is the start of the pod. May I get a quick timeout to make sure that she's good?
Yes. Please do what you need to do.
Putting women first.
Yes. Oh my
Absolutely.
God. Yes.
Come on now.
That's the name of this episode.
All right. So, welcome. It's my name. My girlfriend just called, and we're back. That's the cut. I'm pretty sure. I don't know how that works, but movie magic. Welcome. Super Bowl just ended. Topics.
Yes, the Super Bowl, of course.
Beautiful.
The game was yesterday. The biggest football game of the year, of the season, of course. As we all know, the Chiefs are now back-to-back Super Bowl champions. Mahomes now has 3 Super Bowl rings and 3 Super Bowl MVPs to his name. We all picked the Chiefs. Ashley, you said you would be surprised if the Niners won this game at all. How were you feeling as the game was going on and winding down to the final minutes?
I felt like the Niners lost in true Niners fashion. I did. Especially against a team that, has more experience. The veteran leadership is there. The breakdown, going for the field goal, I think for Kyle Shanahan to take the ball first in overtime was his mistake. Because when you get the ball second, you know what your expectations are. Whether you can win it by a field goal because your defense, stopped, or you win it by a touchdown because, again, you play good defense. The defense was playing great the entire game. And that's what the 49ers basically, is pretty much known for. That defense is stout. But I think Kyle Shanahan put them in a bad position taking the ball first in overtime.
Yeah, terrible call. Gail, thoughts?
Yeah, as somebody that had no stake in it, truly, didn't even notice that the coin toss was flubbed. I was just like, yep, sure, they're going to lose. Because it was a coin toss against Pat Mahomes. No matter what you did, you're not outgunning him. I know how the game was going, and it looked, pretty disastrous at times. Fumble from McCaffrey and then Pacheco to start, and then special teams from the 49ers giving one up off a foot. Pretty unlucky. Oh my God. Just got a call. I'm sorry. Just got a call. Valentine's Day episode. It wouldn't be right. I'm not missing it. Look, just taking a little bit longer. One mute. I'm back with my.
This is so funny.
It is. It is.
Miguel, just so you know, all of this is staying in the episode.
It is. Because you better get those plans right. Get it
together, man.
What I was saying, the game, because you guys are going to keep this in, so no cut.
You had just talked about
Brock had a good game. Yeah. I'll be the first. He looked like a QB that deserved to be there. And I'm no hater stuff. Good for him. I'm glad he played as well as he did. But I'm more happy that they lost. I didn't want to hear it. It was going to be like 6 months and he's the greatest. Could you believe it? It's Brock Purdy. No. Not in our month. Lamar deserved to be there first and get one. And if I'd see Brock get one when it should have been while Usher was doing his thing, no. Roller skating too. He did not bring Bieber out not once. This was for us. Alicia Keys doing her thug thizzle, looking, but shouts out her. She was also a moment. It was very fun. I enjoyed it all. Them showing Taylor Swift. I thought it was great. Ice Spice was there with her. It was a dandy old time. She knew exactly how to get everyone off her back, and it was bring people that everyone wanted to see. So Blake Lively made an appearance. They showed Jay-Z and Beyonce. Beyonce dropped an album, or will be dropping one on the 29th. Shouts out. country is back for us. Yeah. I think the winner of the Super Bowl, Michael Cera, though. I think he had me dying. That was the funniest commercial I think I'd seen in a very long time. As I was just saying, I was like, oh, it's gonna be a year of duds. And right when he said, moisturize yourself with my cream. Sold. Good. Sarah V. Shouts out. Why are you guys looking disappointed? Why do we look sad?
Of course, that's the commercial you liked.
That was it. Come on. I mean, if we're reading the room and it's for, everybody, it's hitting every demographic. It's hitting men, women, the kids.
The kids.
Wait, hold on.
Oh,
Hold on.
oh,
Hold on. And I got yep, we're
hey,
fully
really bad.
fully entrenched. What's it? Yep, you be good.
This is crazy.
Whoa. What? Okay. Fully explainable. Fully could be translated. The kids are childish. They would see that joke before their parents would. Ba-da-da. Okay, cool. Fully explained. I'm recording this at the school. Y'all are disgusting, deplorable. How dare you? That's on y'all. That says more about you both, Diddies, than me.
Hey,
I'm not making the band out here.
That's crazy.
It was only Usher's legal guardian. Sorry, Diddy was Usher's legal guardian. Shouts out the halftime show. Full circle. We're here. Anywho, great game. Shouts out Patrick Mahomes. The GOAT debate is more goatier than ever. It was an entertaining game. First half a little bit slow, but I mean defense had to show up at some point, so that was their time. And then the GOAT.
First things first. Miguel, don't try to bring us down with you. Okay? Don't bring us into your mess. Okay?
Hey.
Because your favorite commercial has to do with moisturizing and cream. Hey, bro. That's a crazy that's a crazy thing to do in the midst of this conversation.
Yeah, I say moisturize. I'm about what I preach.
And just so you know, that's definitely going to be one of the clip-worthy moments. It's gonna happen. No, okay, but seriously, on the game though. Overall, I'm just happy that it was a really good competitive game for the Super Bowl. I'm happy that it wasn't too high scoring. I kind of like the balance of the first half feeling a little slow because it kind of set the pace for they have to up this, in the second half. They have to figure something out, try something new, whatever the case.
Puzzle.
Yeah, trying to figure out how to react to how the teams have game plan for them. Right. So a few things that stood out to me outside of the game, because Gail, you made some great points. I don't think that both teams played really good games, right? Like the 49ers didn't play bad. Brock Purdy, as the game was going on, I'm like, he's playing pretty well. And ironically enough, he didn't heavily, outside of McCaffrey, he didn't heavily use like all the weapons that we say he depends on, right? It was Jennings that made some of the major plays of the game. So I think that in and of itself spoke more to Purdy being in the moment and showing up in that sense.
I was going to interject and say one thing. I was so shocked they went away from the run game in the third quarter. Like, I get that, Purdy was still playing fine. Like, not to say that he squandered any opportunity, but like, you want to melt the clock. You want to give it to your best product. It's Christian McCaffrey. I was shocked.
But did you realize he had 30 carries? Like,
I thought it was 22.
Lot. That's a lot, huh?
I thought it was 22. He had 30 carries.
Well, 30
right? Like probably catches and runs.
Yeah. But it's like,
I'm going back to that well. I'm going until he gets stopped. I mean, like even on that last drive, like I think they ran 3 screenplays as opposed to like giving it to him once. It was crazy to me. But
speaking of screenplays, the first play that San Francisco scored on blew me because how does that play even work? But then it didn't matter because the first play that the Chiefs scored on, the DB also blew me because I'm like, why? What you doing, bro? I was like, where'd the second DB? I'm like, bro, what are you doing? I'm like, you let him catch this ball. This was crazy. But all the moments that make for the game to be what it was, right? What did you all feel about the moment with Kelce and Andy Reid?
Ooh, that was juicy. That was juicy. And I want to hear the audio. I honestly, though, I feel like, emotions are heightened in the Super Bowl, and he wanted to be on the field. He was not on the field. But when you have one catch for 1 yard up until that point, what do you expect Andy Reid to do? You have to get, some momentum going from somebody. It's the next man up. And Watson had a pretty good game at tight end. Like he was pretty solid. So I think Travis ended with what, 11 catches by the end of the Super Bowl?
I think
He
Like
was
for nine,
he
nine for
had 9 in the
94,
second half.
yeah,
yeah,
94.
yeah. So I mean he did get his time to shine. Surprised he didn't score, but at that point, I can understand why he's emotional. Andy Reid said he caught him off guard. That's why he kind of like got pushed over. I don't think so. I don't think he got, but I don't think too much of it. I think it was just emotions. I think it was emotions.
Gil, what you got? I think I like where you might be going with this. Yeah, come on, stir the pot. Stir the pot.
Put Lamar Jackson in this man's shoes. What does the media say about him? Or even someone bigger and scarier. Let's put
AJ Brown. AJ
huh?
Brown tweeted. AJ Brown tweeted.
I'm
He
telling you,
said the same
imagine
thing.
if it's one of us. The narrative is way different. The narrative is completely right. There's no one respect their coach anymore. They got to get this thug out of it. I'm sure the tweets of, oh man, Breitbart Twitter would be up in flames. Rumble would be a storm. No one would hear it, but it'd be on Rumble. Yeah, no, it caught me off guard because I was like, I like you said, heat of the moment. I think it's one of those things where it's like much ado about nothing. Like in those like high pressure moments, like I feel like there's going to be moments that are like this. You don't usually see it between coach and player as much. We're so used to, coach grabbing whoever and throwing them in the game. Like, like they've gotten away with, far too much, I think, in my opinion, in years past. So I feel like it is a natural balance in the other direction where it's like, players have been getting more power and this is just kind of showing like where we have progressed, where it's like, I don't think you could ever see this in the Bob Knight era. Like that player might be, blackballed out of every league that he's ever played in. But since it's Travis Kelce, it's like, well, he invented the fade. So we gotta, I don't know. We might not get haircuts like we used to anymore. So I don't know. I think I see both sides of it where it's like, it's not really a lot, but at the same time, put us in those shoes and we have a completely different narrative to be spun. So
Yeah, I agree with both. I don't think that the moment in and of itself was something to note or something major to note, but I do think that it's interesting to watch because I don't think that one of us will be able to be in that situation and it just be something that is passed over. I think that would be more of the talk like today, if it was one of us, then it has been type of deal. So
all right,
yeah,
LeBron does this.
oh my
Ooh,
god,
oh man.
Mhm.
Oh, we're not hearing about it. We're not. Stephen A. is using every word that has ever existed. So
So
facts.
I have a question. Like, where do you guys think that this is coming from? Because in the preseason, if y'all recall, he apologized and took to Twitter and said that he had to be a better teammate because he got into a scuffle with another tight end at training camp. So it's like he kind of is, it's starting to, I guess, become a pattern. Because Andy Reid also said something, and I can't think of the direct quote, but he basically said, like, it made it seem like this isn't Travis's first time that he's, acted out like that. And it most likely won't be the last time. So, like, what do you make of that from somebody that is as talented as he is and has obviously been voted a captain on your team? Do you think at a certain point it's going to become a problem, or can they continue to win with that?
I I think I don't know. None of us know enough context, right? So my first initial thought, based on what we do know, is that a lot of it is probably passion based. Just because he cares a lot about the game and loves the game. In terms of it being a pattern that could be detrimental that the team might have to be worried about, That I'm not really 100% sure. You have the culture that plays a role, like football culture is very macho and competitive. So the idea of being in a scuffle or, that whole dynamic isn't really frowned upon. So it may not be looked at as something to handle, quote
Mm,
unquote. Now,
Yeah.
this isn't a Draymond situation, right? Like Travis isn't out here slapping teammates, throwing like grabbing them by the helmet or nothing like that, or opposing players for that matter. So I don't know where it comes from. I don't know if it'll be something that the team feels like they need to handle, but I do feel like with Kelce aging and with them knowing Mahomes is essentially there for the long haul, if they were to stumble into a situation where they found a successor, I think that there would be a shorter leash on some of these antics.
hmm
Don't know if that's going to happen. Not saying that they're looking for it, but if these antics were to continue, I think that's the only solution I
hmm
could see coming into the picture. But other than that, just I guess it depends on how bad it gets. Honestly,
Yeah, I'm thinking it's similar to the Draymond situation, only in that if the headache becomes more than the talent, then I think you start to talk about it. Right now, he's still playing at a super high level. Uh, still probably tops in the league at just receiving in general. So until he starts to be louder than the product that's on the field, I don't think that we have anything to worry about. But I think the Justin Tucker thing was weird too. Like it just seemed very, I mean, I get
Yeah, that's
like your QB, but I mean, it's Justin Tucker. I mean, and you don't, I mean, speaking from my NFL knowledge, Travis Kelce was one of the most coveted. I don't know how to put this. He's invited to the cookout, dudes. Uh,
mm,
so he was tops, and then Max Crosby threw his hat in the ring, but Justin Tucker is like one of the OGs of that. Like B Moore's got him to the day that he dies. So like I don't know why I mean head games whatever it was like I'm down for gamesmanship, but you know some of the stuff I've seen is just rubs me the wrong way. Found out he's a cheater this off season. When I found out he's going out with Taylor Swift, I'm like, so he's with them. He's not
oh,
a month.
him being
He,
with
you know.
he's with them is crazy. Uh,
hmm
Then once he shaved that goatee, woof, we knew
hmm
he's real excited for that Beyonce album. I bet, but I don't.
on the topic of Kelce though, we'll get to Mahomes after this, but for Kelce, where is he right now on the all-time greats list for his position? And within that answer, how far does he have to go to get to top the list? If you all think that he can.
I
I mean,
totally believe that he can. Go ahead, Miguel.
I'll say it's top five, right? Like
Yeah.
top of my head, it's like Antonio Gonzalez, um, Gronk,
hmm
um,
Shannon.
and Sharp. There's like one more Antonio Gates in him.
Yeah.
Like,
So he's
yeah,
not top three. He's not top three. Or
I
is he?
think he's over Gates. I think he's over Antonio Gates. Um, I can't put him over Shannon Sharp and Gronk, and I don't think I'll put him. Yeah, I don't think I'll put him over Tony Gonzalez either yet. I don't know. That's
Gronk, I think
hard.
he's the closest to. I think he's either at Gronk's level or he's past him with this last one. Because just like the receiving yards part, with
hmm
like I think he clears Gronk in every stat besides touchdowns. I think Gronk has like 94 total, and I think Kelce has like something around like 70 something. But then in every other metric, I think Kelsey's has been receiving yards, catches, like just almost like every other metric. But I think, Gronk was the end zone threat. That was his thing. And I think
Yep.
Kelsey's kind of more dynamic and more of that all around, like, I'm gonna get you this first down. I'm gonna get you like an important play here and there. So I think in terms of player for player, I think Kelce, in terms of just like, oh, he's healthier. That was Gronk's one big thing. Like he was never on the field only for when it mattered. So if he would have had like a longer career, I can definitely say Gronk has him. But I think availability is one of the best of it, abilities. So I think for that reason, he goes top 3 with that. And then it goes like Gonzalez, Shannon, and then Kelce.
So,
But Gronk, people have Gronk there too. I completely understand.
so I don't know the numbers off the top of my head. I know Gonzalez for a lot of people he's pretty much kind of the undisputed number one when the conversation comes up. I don't know if I've heard Sharp at 2, but I've heard Shannon in top 5. So him being up there makes sense as well. I think Kelce having 3, right? Having 3 rings. I think playing with Mahomes will help him from a number standpoint. Rings, if of course they continue this dynasty, but above anything, the numbers will probably continue just because he's playing with an elite quarterback that will probably make it easier for him. But does Gronk have enough time to catch a Gonzalez? And I guess what does Kelce need to do to catch a Gonzalez? Like I said, I don't know what numbers or what stats have him at number 1, but what does Kelce have left to do? And does he have enough time to eclipse him and top that list?
I think, like Miguel said, he's not that red zone threat like you would want him to be. Like, of course, he's had his fair share of touchdown receptions and the big moments in the end zone. But like he said, I think he's just more of a middle of the field threat. He gets you where you need to be, and then you seek those other options. Initially, it was Tyreek Hill. We've seen MVS become that. He just scored in the Super Bowl yesterday. McCole Hartman has been that. So I think in order for Kelce to truly be that number one, is just that's the next part of his game, being a true threat in the red zone, because he's already been the focal point of the offense, etc. So
Yeah.
Agreed. So to Mahomes Skillet Biscuit, my homeboy. The man has 3 rings in 5 years. Back to back. Has almost every postseason record for the Chiefs, if I'm not mistaken. I don't want to look all of them up, but I know he has a lot of them. And the man's nowhere near done, right? He's nowhere near finished with this resume that he's building. He's not the GOAT yet, but he's making a very strong claim with a lot of time left to do it.
Yeah.
Where exactly is he now? Because I don't know if football is weird, because I don't know if the GOAT conversation for football is limited to the quarterback position.
Yeah.
I feel like it typically is, though. Like when you have the GOAT conversation, it's almost synonymous with quarterbacks.
Mm-hmm.
But even if we just, not to try to make it super general, even if we leave it specific to quarterbacks just for clarity, has he passed everybody but Brady?
No, for me, I think
Who hasn't he passed?
Oh, well, in terms of like accolades, like not everybody has 3 rings out there. That is like Brady and him. But like in terms of quarterback play over a long period of time, I'm still gonna take, I think, Peyton Manning personally.
Interesting.
That's super interesting.
I think A-Rod was the only other, like, I think Aaron Rodgers is a homer bet, but Peyton Manning's one of my favorite quarterbacks of all time. I think Aaron Rodgers is right there too, but
so I disagree with Peyton only because Mahomes has the rings to eclipse Peyton on whatever.
Peyton has 2, and then what? Mahomes has 3, right?
Mahomes has 3. He has 3 Super Bowl MVPs. Does Mahomes have a regular season MVP?
Yes.
Yeah, I think I'm wrong on this one.
But
this is my
He's 28, y'all.
Yeah.
28.
The only thing I will say, I think if we are talking about what we've seen at the quarterback position, I think that the reason that Aaron Rodgers would not be a name that you could probably say he like definitely clears is because literally the only thing stopping Aaron Rodgers from being not untouchable, but like being like almost locked in at two when most things are said and done is because he only has the one ring. And because
Yeah.
he's had the opportunities to get more rings and he's fell short. And that may be the reason why some people actually will put Mahomes over him. However, the only reason that I would think it's more of a conversation is because I think if you had put Rodgers in a situation where he walked into the team that Mahomes kind of inherited, may have been a different story. That's a huge if. That's a huge if and shoulda, coulda, woulda situation. But I think A-Rod's name stays in the mix because he has what, 3 or 4 regular season MVPs? 3?
I think
At least 3. Might be 4, but at least 3. Um, and he's had some numbers and some statistical seasons that are pretty insane. Like I said, the only knock against Rodgers at this point is his missed opportunities at a ring and even getting to the Super Bowl at that because he hasn't made another Super Bowl. But
Yeah.
I still think if you're arguing from a number standpoint, at least from a hardware standpoint of what matters, if you were to say that Mahomes is over him, I don't really have an argument outside of speaking to being a Green Bay fan, honestly. So I don't know. I don't think there's another quarterback like when you with three rings now. I
It's
don't
really
know. I don't know if there's another quarterback that you can really say he hasn't passed because who else has that resume? And then when you add the time frame that he's done that in, that's
Joe,
really what makes it scary.
yeah.
Joe Montana, Tom Brady, and Pat, I believe, are the only 3 quarterbacks with 3+ Super Bowl MVPs.
I think that's about right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he's there in
Elite
company of their own.
company.
Yeah.
Very
Yeah.
elite company.
I think where I was going with my argument in terms of like who they are as players, I just think that we still have more to see from Pat, which isn't a knock. It isn't a knock at all. I just think that we were able to see, you know, moments of greatness from those two quarterbacks that go beyond a Super Bowl. I think that's what I'm trying to say in terms of like just players themselves. I think they both were given less and still exceeded expectations. Like Peyton Manning was doing with the Colts team that was very good. The Broncos team was loaded for him too defensively. I think, just in terms of seeing a quarterback of their caliber, like call shots before the play was even about to happen, I think I'm just going back to nostalgia. Take me back there in terms of like who they were as QBs, but it's not like Patrick Mahomes isn't able to do any of that or cannot make the throws that Aaron was able to make with the same type of like pre-snap play calling that we see from Peyton. So I think it's honestly between Tom and Mahomes. I just think that I just want to see more from him because like the back half of his career could be miserable, and then we could be talking about like a QB that had it all at the beginning and then just couldn't put it together in his last few years. I just don't think that we see that. Even though teams are getting close, it's still Pat versus everyone else.
Is that the more you want to see from him? Like the back end of his career? Like
Like
I
what
think,
more?
but I think with what he has in his career, he's still up there. Like he's a top 5 solidified quarterback of all time, which is synonymous with like top 5 NFL player of all time. Truly, it's just like if it all goes down the shitter, it's just like then that would just really just only take away from what he's done. But it's hard to take away from what he's already accomplished. He'd
yeah.
have to be doing like some career fumbling to really like take away from his stature of where he is.
No, agree. Absolutely. And then last thing on Mahomes, I'll say is I think that everybody's so scared to kind of cement it because we have no idea what will happen in the rest of his career. And there could be, like, God forbid, any unfortunate circumstances, but like there could be something that hinders him from, getting the stats to, be solidified as the best. But I'll say this. What he's done in 6 or 7 seasons, six, I think, what he's done in 6 seasons,
Pretty good.
if he doesn't slow down, like if he doesn't hit a dud in his career, if he doesn't hit some type of stretch where he's just not competing or whatever the case may be, this may be the quickest rise to that title that we've ever seen.
True.
Like, if he's done it, just imagine him having a similar 6 years after this.
I want to say I saw on SportsCenter today that he is the quickest to get 3 titles in a major American league. So that's including NBA,
Yeah.
MLB, NHL. That
He's nuts.
Yeah.
It's pretty insane. But that's everything Super Bowl, everything NFL as we wrap up that for the 2023 technically season. We will transition into the NBA trade deadline. Now things are getting spicy, things are getting juicy. Now it's time to shift focus and see what's really going to go on in the association. Where do we start with the trade deadline? I was scared that it was going to be a bit underwhelming, but it came in the clutch on Thursday. Thursday, a lot of decent moves were made. What was the biggest move to you all? Who do you think was the biggest move and the biggest winner?
I think I actually said it already. Delano Banton to the Trailblazers.
Oh my God!
Talk about winners of the deadline.
Contenders.
I mean, let's talk about it. I mean, Delano Banton, what more can you say about him?
I can't say anything. I don't know who the man is.
Yeah.
What can you say about him? There we go. Okay, so on to the next one. Corey Joseph to the Pacers. All right, yeah. The trade deadline. They got rid of James Harden, and it was just like, all right, for scraps. But yeah, who do you think is the winner of the whole deadline? I think there's 2 teams in my mind.
Winners?
I don't know if I have a winner. All the moves were like for those role player type of pieces.
I like what the Knicks and the Mavericks did.
The Mavericks, I think they did really well.
Mavericks did well.
Like Gafford was not on my radar to be moved at all, and I think that's big to just let Lively grow into his role. They got PJ Washington, which I don't know really how it fits, but maybe I think they hated Grant Williams, so that's hilarious.
So I think PJ Washington fits more than people realize.
Yes.
Because it wasn't like he was having a bad season in Charlotte, mind you. And this is what Dallas did. Not only did Dallas get bigger, right, as a team, but you also brought in these 2-way players. You brought in a 2-way center that you can now start essentially, and you still have a Lively coming off your bench now, but you also have a PJ Washington who, even if he's not starting for you, that's another 2-way player. That's another defender you can throw at people, and
giving you 15 a night.
They've become way more balanced. So while you now have 2 of the most dynamic scorers in the league, not only do you have scorers around them, lob threats, shooters, whatever the case may be, you now have a more balanced defense that takes even even more pressure off of Kyrie and Luka. So in terms of how the West is shaping up, I think they put themselves in a prime position to make things very interesting. I am not calling them a contender at this point in time, but depending on seeding, depending on matchups, depending on their health and how they look come late March, April, I don't think they're going to be teams. They potentially won't be in the play-in.
Yeah.
I think that's how good they got. They potentially may not be in the play-in.
It's crazy.
Yeah. So they're winners. Knicks are winners too.
Yeah.
Knicks are winners.
Bojan, he's been trying to go to a contender for years, and I think now it's like they're the scariest middling team that there is. I think they're the scariest 3-4 out of the East.
So
the West is different. The 3-4 out there is,
3-4 could be the 1-2 out West right now. So
yeah. I think they look nice. Like they have the team comp to make something work. They get bigger too. Like they got rid of Fournier, who was rotting on their bench. Quinn Grimes, he was due to go somewhere else. But they get a player in Alec Burks that knows the system already, and then Bojan that's just coming in just to stretch and shoot. Like I don't know, it's less shots for Julius Randle, right? That's a win. It's a huge win.
Let's hope. Let's hope he still could shoot them out of a series. You never know.
They're getting more guys. They're getting more guys to take some.
The Knicks is such an interesting case because honestly, the Cavs look more dangerous this year than they did last year. And
Mm-hmm.
I think if they were to play the Knicks again in this playoffs, that'd be a great matchup.
Yeah.
Just side note. But for the Knicks, you say middling team, and it's so weird because the Knicks aren't really a middle of the pack team. They haven't really been playing since a middle of the pack team since the OG trade. I wouldn't say they are a contender, but they are in that weird space, like in between middling team and contender. Like they're too good to be considered. Like just to me, they look.
That's what I mean by it, where it's like they're in between, like
Yeah,
really like, oh, we gotta watch out for the Knicks. And
but
like
They don't scare me.
so that's what I was gonna ask.
they don't scare me either.
How dangerous are they? Because they have a great team comp, right? They have talent. I think a lot of people still have a question mark on whether Brunson can be your leader, the guy. And it's not a knock on his talent, but I just think in the way the league is today, if Brunson is your best player, which he is on the Knicks, can he do it? I think that if since they are in the East, that's what makes it interesting because
Yeah.
they can sneak a lot of teams in the East. But this Knicks team in the West wouldn't be any different to me than I still wouldn't take this Knicks team over the top four teams in the West currently. So I'm not taking them over Minnesota. I'm not taking them over Denver. I'm not taking them over the Thunder, and I'm not taking them over the Clippers right now. Granted, who knows what's gonna happen with the Clippers? They're the Clippers. But as things currently stand, I'm not taking the Knicks over those four teams. Then even when you get into the Suns, Pelicans, Mavs, Kings, like they're all still right on par, right? You know what I'm saying? So like it's because it's the East, they could probably sneak a team or two and make things interesting. But I don't think that in the grand scheme of the league, that makes them dangerous. So I don't know. It's an interesting tale. It's an interesting tale.
I would put the Knicks over the Pelicans. However, in the East, I'm more afraid of the Pacers. I'm just being honest. I'm more afraid of what the Pacers can do in the playoffs than I am of the Knicks.
I personally oppose that. That might be the first time I've ever disagreed with you in my life.
I welcome that.
That's
The only
because you're a
reason-
heavy Brunson fan, though.
well, no, not even. I love Halliburton. I just think that the Knicks game translates into playoff ball better than the Pacers.
I
Just
agree.
strictly from what Halliburton has said in the past, where he's like, "Coach wants me to slow down and play ball. I don't know," and I'm like, "Boy, you better," because in the playoffs, that's literally the time. That's literally the only time you need to do it. And I think they have, albeit a little bit of experience the Knicks do, and I feel like the Pacers have gotten a taste with like a plan, but like a 7-game series where they got to adjust to a team, denying Halliburton the ball on entry. Like they're learning his tendencies game after game. I think that might be that next step for him to take, and I hope he can take that challenge this year. But I feel like Brunson has a bit more experience at that level, and we'll see what happens in a series. I want to see that series too. Either them two go at it, or repeat of Knicks Cavs. That'd be nice.
Good point. And I could be riding the high of how well they played during the in-season tournament, but it just feel like they hit another notch for me. And so that's why I feel like they could carry their game into the playoffs and it would translate well, especially if they get a play-in seed and they kind of have those games under their belt heading into a 7-game series.
Yeah,
The Pacers are scary, in my opinion.
fair. Who did they get back in that Buddy trade?
They got Doug McDermott. They got 3 second-round picks.
Good.
And
I like Doug,
Marcus Morris.
and I like Marcus.
They're buying him out, I think.
Okay.
I think they're buying Marcus out. But the key to the Pacers transitioning their game to the playoffs is Siakam. And because of that, I think the transition won't be as difficult, Gail, as we might be initially thinking.
He'll be
Because
used to it.
even if they do that to Halliburton, Siakam can play your one. Siakam can be your one if you need him to be, if you're going to deny Halliburton. So depending on how a team adjusts to that, that might allow for the Pacers to figure out how do we play our game into half court. right? Because they're still dynamic, right? All the talent is still there. And I think you can afford to lose a Buddy Hield because you now have a Siakam that obviously isn't the shooter that Buddy is, but then you get McDermott, and so
Oh,
you
yeah.
still have all the skills from a team perspective. But that transition, putting it into perspective, I don't know if that makes them scarier. But if they do find a way to quickly transition that style of play to the playoffs, yeah, it's gonna be really interesting. It's gonna be
And
really,
they have Furkan Korkmaz. Korkmaz.
yeah. So they still have shooting.
Great
That's
job.
some shooting.
I think those are the biggest winners. I think that's like the A tier of winners from the trade deadline. I think the start of the B tier. So how do y'all feel about what Philly did?
Essentially, they traded the same player. I would say Buddy is a better guy to get to the cup, but basically they let go Korkmaz
Mm-hmm.
for Buddy Hield. Like it's shooting. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah,
Um, I don't think they moved the needle at all. I don't think they got too much better. I don't think they got any worse, but
yeah.
Yeah.
It's very same. Like it's very lateral.
yeah.
It also depends on Embiid anyway. So I mean, maybe they just made a move that they thought would be better long term. Maybe Buddy's gonna take on a more. Maybe he's gonna have more room to be the scorer that he is while Embiid is out. Who knows, right? Um, I
I
don't
think
think. My bad. I was gonna say I don't think the Lowry move does anything. Like it brings a veteran presence. Lowry doesn't really make a team worse that he goes to from like what he brings to the locker room. Like obviously he's in the very tail end of his career, but like yeah, I agree. Very lateral move for them. And I think that opens up the East after Boston even more, to be honest. So I think another team that falls into that same category as Philly, not so much that it was lateral, but we don't know how much it'll change things yet. I think the Hayward pickup for OKC is good for them. It's a benefit. I don't think it makes them any better than what they already are, but it's nice to have. It's a cherry on top, if you will, I guess. But they're already a almost contender. So I don't think a move like that changed my mind on them being on the cusp of being a contender. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, but I feel like they kind of fell in the same space. Oh, also, very small move, but I really liked Royce O'Neal to Phoenix. I think
Great.
that was very
mm-hmm.
slick. I
Mm-hmm.
think that gives them more of what they needed.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so that was nice. That was really nice. I'm not gonna lie. But those are like those B tier winners
I
for
think
me.
the big for
Trade
Tillman
deadline.
in Boston is that too. Like
Yes,
ready
yes.
for KP. I think that's
Yeah.
great. You know what? I'm gonna throw us in there. We got a dog. We needed someone to bark at us in the court. I'm gonna throw us in a B tier because I don't think my mom texted me. She said, I don't think he's the answer. And no, mom, he is not.
Nah.
We have the answer. The answer is Giannis and Dame. Like with the answers are there. We just need somebody to put that battery in our back when we're bullshitting and be like, hey, bark, bark. What are we doing? Like, I think this is a great wake up call for us. I don't think that he provides anything that we didn't have that we just didn't need to be kickstarted. I think he's just there just to like yell at us, which good. We
So
need.
he's PJ this year, right? That's the role that he plays. But also trading Robin Lopez, if this is a move to open up space to sign somebody in a buyout, I think that was smart of them. Now, who they get still yet to be seen. But if they're able to go grab a wing or somebody else to kind of add some front court depth, like after Brook and after Bobby, basically, if we're able to add another player that can give minutes and potentially be a little bit better defensively than Bobby, I think that'll make me feel potentially more comfortable, maybe a little bit more confident. But I completely agree, Gail. Our answer is Giannis and Dame at the end of the day, it's going to come down to, are they going to be the playoff versions of themselves that we've seen their entire career? If they are, and if we're competitive and giving effort, I think we still have a shot, right? I think this notion that teams are going to just run over us come playoff time because we don't have a Drew Holiday anymore. I don't think that's the case. I'm not saying it won't be a somewhat of an uphill battle, but if those two players are going to be the players we've seen in the playoffs the last 5 years, we're in the mix. You're going to have to beat us in 6 or 7, more than likely 7, right? So yeah. But any other moves that really caught your attention around the trade deadline? I think the ones we mentioned were really the big, like, those are the ones that kind of moved any type of needles. All the other ones are players that were, my bad. Yeah, who'd you think?
I like Monty Morris in Minnesota, and I
Lovely.
like there's one more guy. I like the Dinwiddie pickup by LA.
Oh
So
yeah.
they needed to do something. I like that too. I think those are the two that I think get what they need. You know.
Yeah, Monte Morris to the Wolves is great. All, like, that's the best move they could have done at the
Yeah.
deadline, and they did that.
Yeah.
I agree with Dimwitty to LA. I am interested to see what that looks like and who loses playing time, because Lakers just have an interesting dynamic. Like, they have all these people who can score, but LeBron's gonna dominate the ball whenever he's in the game. So you need more defenders and more 3-and-D people than you do buckets, but you kind of have a lot of buckets right now. And it's
Yeah.
like, it's hard because now you don't know what lineups to play when you got Bron and AD in there. But yeah, I don't know. Like I said, trade deadline was relatively underwhelming, but I think you saw some teams definitely try to shore up some weaknesses. I think I don't know if there were any teams that like should have made moves that
The
didn't.
Bulls.
I
So
mean, but the Bulls just decided not to sell, right? And it's like, yeah, we could have, yeah, we can sit here and say, oh, they should sell. But I mean, if they don't want to, at some point, at some point, this rebuild is inevitable, right? I don't think this idea that waiting on Lonzo to come back, even though it's great to see him, actually doing basketball activity now, but waiting to see what Lonzo looks like when he comes back, but they're stuck, Gail. It's like they can't do too much.
I think that's what they're doing. I think they're gonna max out DeRozan until he's 37 and try
Ooh,
to re-go back at it like it's 2021.
I
Are
don't.
they stupid?
Well,
I'm
here.
sorry.
Well,
I'm
so
sorry.
here's
Like,
the.
wait, DeRozan's on an expiring. They're gonna lose him for nothing.
Yeah, they probably are going to lose him for nothing. Hell, DeRozan might go to LA.
What is with Chicago sports and making the dumbest decisions? I
Zach
live
too.
there. I don't even
Zach
live
Well,
there.
too.
Zach, they're not. I mean, the best that Zach can do is just say he actually wants to be traded, but I don't think he has a no trade clause, and I don't think he has a lot of power to decide where he goes. But he has a terrible contract. No team wants that. And
And so Caruso high. Everybody wanted him.
yeah, they definitely could have got a. I mean, but their package, what they were asking for, might have been too high. And I think that's what it was. I think they wanted a couple first rounds and a really solid player for Caruso, which I'm not mad at them, but I could see why they weren't pushing to sell him because they still have him for, I think, another year, maybe. I don't know if he's expiring or not, but
Him and Zach got one more year each,
right.
which
So maybe they just feel like, well, maybe we'll take one more try at this 2024, 2025 and see what happens there. Um, but yeah, I think the league is going to be interesting down the stretch. I think the West is, as always, so interesting. I wonder how long this log jam at the top of the West is gonna be there. For all those four teams to be separated by less than a game is crazy. And then when you look at 5 through 8, I think they're all separated by a game. Um, I think 5 is like 4 or 5 games behind whoever's in 4 right now. But then 5 through 8, I think they're all separated by a game. So it's just, I
nuts.
mean, there's no telling what that's gonna look like by the end of the season. like I said, I think the East with Embiid out, I think the East is really wide open. The Cavs are rolling. Um, Knicks look good. I think the Bucks are about to hit their stride. Kind of looks like it. So that may be interesting to see if they'll get back to two. Wonder what the Pacers will look like after the All-Star break. Will the Magic get better, or will they stay in this like middling kind of pack that they are? But I think the East is still relatively top heavy. I think once you get to those six, whoever the six are, I'm forgetting about Miami. That was the other team. But whoever those six are, that's probably really, really who we're going to be talking about. But yeah, after the All-Star break, once March hits, like once we're about the last 20 games, we're gonna start see how some things shake out. So yeah, very interesting time in the league, but yeah, man, excited. I'm excited for the second half. I've been waiting to have very serious shit talking conversations in basketball until after the All-Star break and more notably in April. So I would really like that time to come so I can stop wasting my breath on meaningless conversations in January.
Truly.
Because people be trying me, but it's too early. I'm a not no actually because these Celtics fans I know, I know the Celtics fans that are watching. I know who you are. They've been talking all year. I respect the C's. I'm a Tatum fan, so it ain't no hate. But
Mm-hmm.
we get to April. Look, every bad game, I'm on that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm on that.
Every time he settles for a jump shot,
Sidestep.
fade away.
No left hand.
Jeez.
Unicorn. I don't see him because he's always injured.
Yikes, that's tough. Okay, but
They say
I
about
don't want to.
I'm
I don't
ready.
want to jinx it. I don't want to jinx it. But no, that's it, guys. We like I said, Super Bowl trade deadline. We will be back to talk about more and more as things goes on. But yeah, that's it for today. And until next time, we'll catch y'all next episode. Peace.